I am Sophia, 28 years old, born and raised in London, one of the most splendid and bustling cities in England. My family belongs to the upper middle class. The prosperous life has created conditions for me to develop comprehensively. My parents, although busy with business and social relationships, always spend time with me, nurturing me with love and care. My childhood is full of beautiful memories of going to Hyde Park, bustling festivals on Oxford Street, and cozy evenings in a house filled with books and classical music. Ever since I was a child, I have been passionate about animals. I remember asking my parents to let me raise a stray kitten in the park or spending hours watching sparrows hopping on the windowsill. Love for animals is not only a hobby but also an important part that helps me grow up, become more sympathetic and connected to nature. It was my family upbringing and memories of being attached to animals that shaped me into a kind heart and a strong sense of responsibility. As I grew up, I continued to develop a passion for learning, and learning became the center of my life. I entered university with a strong determination to pursue the path of knowledge. The 4 years of university were a time when I focused heavily on studying, not even paying attention to romantic relationships like many of my peers. I always believed that I needed to build a solid foundation for the future before thinking about love. After graduating from university with good results, I felt ready to step into real life. Although there were many other opportunities opening up, I chose the path of teaching, a decision that was somewhat surprising to those who knew me. However, it was a choice that came from the heart, from the passion for spreading knowledge and the desire to make a difference in the lives of others. I still remember the moment when I shared this dream with my parents. Their eyes lit up with pride and absolute support. My mother hugged me and said that she believed I would be a great teacher, while my father just smiled and nodded, as if to confirm the correctness of my decision. Earlier this year, when I turned 28, a big turning point came when I passed the entrance exam and officially became a literature teacher. It was the result of many days and nights of tireless effort, the result of dedication and passion that never fades. I got a job at a secondary school in Yorkshire, a peaceful and quaint town with cobbled streets, ivy-covered houses, and a fresh air of the English countryside. I was both excited and nervous as I packed my bags, ready to start my new life here. I found a small house near the school, surrounded by a lovely garden full of lavender and green trees. When I arrived in Yorkshire and set foot in the house, I felt an unprecedented freedom. Independent living began to bring me challenges but also excitement. It was the first time I arranged everything myself, from choosing each decoration for the room to gradually getting used to the new pace of life without the bustling car horns like in London. In the quiet afternoons, the birds chirping echoes from the surrounding trees, I feel an indescribable peace, as if this is where I belong, where I will stick to fulfill my dream of inspiring and educating generations of students. When I moved to Yorkshire, the first thing I did to ease the feeling of emptiness was to adopt a Labrador and name him Rocky. Rocky quickly became my best and most loyal friend, bringing joy and life to my little house. Every morning, the cheerful wag of his tail greeted me as I woke up, making me feel energized for the day ahead. In the afternoons after work, I would take Rocky for a walk along the tree-lined streets of the town, admiring the old houses and feeling the peace in the air. Rocky was more than just a dog, he was a silent companion who understood my feelings. One day in August 2004, when I came home tired in the evening, I sat on the sofa in the living room. Rocky ran to me and played with me, but after playing a little bit because of desire, I taught him to do it with me. At first, Rocky didn't know how to do it, but after many times of training, Rocky became very good and Rocky could do it for a long time. That night, Rocky and I did it many times until dawn. It was this attachment that helped me relieve the loneliness that silently haunted me, especially when living alone in a strange place. After that first time, Rocky and I did it every night when I came home from teaching. Although teaching brings me joy and satisfaction, the busyness and responsibility of teaching make it difficult for me to open up to personal relationships. Since my student years, I have always put my study and career goals first, which has led to me never having a love affair, even though many people have expressed their interest in pursuing me. As time passed, the further I went on my career path, the bigger the void in my heart became. The relaxing moments with Rocky seemed to be my only consolation, my way of finding the closeness and connection that I had always lacked. Everything began to change one autumn afternoon when I met Max, a man 2 years older than me. That day, after a long day of work at school, I was driving home when suddenly my car broke down in the middle of the road. My car stood alone on the deserted road, in the orange-yellow autumn afternoon light. Anxiety quickly set in as I realized I had no idea what to do, especially as it was starting to get dark. As I fumbled with my phone to call for help, a deep voice came from behind me. "Do you need any help?" I turned around and met the eyes of Max, a man with a sturdy build and a calm expression on his face. Max wore a grease-stained work outfit, but the genuine smile on his face made me feel much more secure. Without hesitation, he walked over to examine my car, chatting as he worked to ease the tension in my heart. I told him about my teaching job, my early days in Yorkshire, and how I loved the peace of the place. Max listened attentively, nodding and smiling occasionally. He recounted stories about growing up in a small town, his passion for repairing cars since he was a boy, and how he loved the job even though it was sometimes tiring. The conversation between us gradually became natural, as if we had known each other for a long time. After Max finished repairing the car, I offered to pay him, but he just smiled and shook his head. "No need. It was just a small job. If you have any problems next time, just call me." He handed me a business card with his phone number and name. The sunset reflected on his face, highlighting his deep blue eyes filled with sincerity. I felt my heart lighten and couldn't help but smile gratefully. Since then, we have kept in touch regularly. Max is not only a talented mechanic, but also a person who is always ready to help, listen, and share. Every meeting, whether it is a short coffee break or just a walk around town, makes me feel understood and cared for. He tells me about his family, about his childhood days with his father fishing, and funny stories in the garage. I recognize the simplicity and sincerity in his words and actions, something I have always been looking for but have never found anywhere else. As time goes by, Max's presence becomes an indispensable part of my life. His warmth and genuine personality make me feel that I am no longer alone. Whenever I feel sad or tired from work, I know I can find comfort and encouragement from Max. From a chance meeting, our relationship gradually became a deep bond, bringing me a sense of peace and happiness that I had never experienced before. After I met Max, I stopped doing that with Rocky. After only 2 weeks of knowing each other, I realized that the relationship between me and Max developed quickly and naturally. Every time we met, my heart beat faster, and I felt the sincerity in his every look and every word. Max was not only the person I found comfort in, but also the person who made me laugh every time I recalled funny stories from the past, or when he told me about his simple but meaningful dreams. We spent many afternoons walking around the small streets of Yorkshire, stopping at old cafes with strong coffee and fragrant scones. In the evenings, Max often took me to the wildflower fields where we could watch the sunset change colors and listen to the gentle birdsong. Those were the moments when I realized I had found what I had always longed for: a true connection with someone who understood and loved me unconditionally. After 2 short but memorable weeks, Max told me that he couldn't imagine his life without me. That simple and sincere confession touched the depths of my heart. I no longer doubted my feelings. The lonely days of the past were replaced by the joy and warmth that Max brought. We decided not to wait any longer and planned a small but meaningful wedding together. The wedding day came quickly in anticipation. We held the ceremony at a small church located in the middle of a green hill, where wild flowers decorated the romantic scene. Relatives and close friends gathered, giving us their heartfelt blessings. I remember the moment when Max stood waiting at the end of the aisle, his eyes filled with happiness and hope, and I felt my heart beat in sync with that beat. Our vows in the warm light of the afternoon were like a lifelong promise to each other. After the wedding, we returned to the small house that I had rented before. That house, which was familiar to me, was now filled with laughter and the imprints of a shared life. Max and I rearranged our living space together, adding small decorative items that we both loved. Every evening, we sit at the dining table. The flickering candlelight and the intimate conversation make the small room unusually cozy. On weekend mornings, we wake up early to prepare breakfast, sharing every simple but happy moment. After Max moved in with me, the small house in Yorkshire really turned into a true home. Our lives became busier, not only because of daily work, but also because of the new things that come from sharing a living space. Every morning, the small kitchen is bustling with laughter and the aroma of fresh coffee. Max and I often prepare breakfast together, sometimes the crispy scones he loves, sometimes a simple omelette with the warm taste of family. In the evenings, after a long day of work, we cook together, chat, and share everything that happened during the day. Rocky, my Labrador, seemed strange to this change at first. Before, he was the center of my attention, my only companion when I came home. Now that Max was here, Rocky needed time to adjust. I remember his curious and somewhat skeptical eyes when Max moved his things into the house. But Rocky was a smart and affectionate dog. He quickly realized that Max brought not only change but also love and warmth to the house. Sometimes Rocky would squeeze between me and Max when we were sitting on the sofa watching a movie, or put his feet on Max's legs as a way of showing that he wanted attention too. We laughed, and Max always knew how to make Rocky feel like an important part of the family. On weekend mornings, we would take Rocky for a walk along the paths filled with green grass and wild flowers. Max's laughter rang out as Rocky rolled around on the grass or ran around carefree, making me laugh too. Those moments filled my heart, warmth and happiness spreading in every moment. Although life is not without challenges and adjustments, especially when we both have to learn to balance work and life together, the love and sincerity that Max and I have for each other has made everything easier. There were days when Max came home late because of work. Rocky and I waited for him together under the warm light in the living room. When he walked in, his eyes were filled with fatigue but also joy when he saw Rocky and I waiting. Max bent down to caress Rocky, and I realized that the love between us was not only between the two of us but also encompassed Rocky, making the three of us a real family. There were also times when we had to deal with small disagreements in our daily lives about cleaning the house, dividing our time between work and each other, but these were also moments when we learned to be more understanding and patient. Max had a habit of leaving books and papers scattered on the table, which initially annoyed me. But instead of letting that become a problem, I realized that communicating openly and honestly with him was the key. Max listened, and we gradually found a balance between personal preferences and mutual respect. As time went on, the little house became filled with memories, peaceful evenings by candlelight, small repairs that Max did himself, and Sundays when we tended the flower garden together. Rocky lay lazily in the sun, his tail wagging as he enjoyed every moment of a happy and fulfilling life. Although my husband knew nothing about my past, the memories and feelings of guilt still haunted my mind every day. They were secret feelings, mistakes that I wished I could erase, but they still existed, reminding me of the wrong decisions I had made. Every time I see my husband's warm eyes and unconditional love, I feel my heart sink, the feeling that arises like a rolling wave. The sincerity and affection he has for me only increases the torment in my heart, making me wonder if I am worthy of that love. There are nights when the whole house is quiet. I lie awake, listening to his steady breathing beside me, and can't help but feel lonely in my thoughts. What happened is not only a valuable lesson but also a reminder that life is not always about making the right decisions. There were times when I let my heart go astray, letting my emotions and weaknesses take over, and it was those moments that led me down a path that I now deeply regret. But I know the most important thing is not to let yourself fall into regret forever. I need to face reality. forgive myself, and find ways to make amends for my current life. I want to say to those who may be facing the same temptations or insecurities that I have experienced, be sober and appreciate what you have. Sometimes, just one wrong decision can lead you away from what is truly important, causing you to lose not only your peace of mind but also the trust of the people you love the most. Don't let a moment of weakness become a burden that will haunt you for the rest of your life. Stop, think carefully, and if necessary, turn back while you still have the chance. Sometimes the greatest courage is to admit your own mistakes and decide to live differently, to appreciate the present and protect it with all sincerity and determination. Love is not only what you receive but also what you are willing to do to keep it intact. Anyone can make mistakes, but the difference lies in how we choose to act afterwards, bravely face and move on, or sink into regret. I chose to face, preserve, and cherish my family more than ever. And I hope that anyone who reads this will also find the awakening to choose the right thing for themselves.